For this week's reading, something that I found really interesting was the idea of the way that you structure your interview questions. You go from more factual questions, then to more opinionated fun questions, to like the deeper, more meaty questions. And you do this to make sure that the interviewee feels really comfortable and able to speak on those more difficult issues. And this is particularly relevant to my project because I'm interviewing potentially about a quite sensitive subject. So rather than just having a list of questions, reading them and thinking maybe it'll flow well, you have to make the subject comfortable so that they're able to answer these questions in a truthful manner and draw out the story that you really want to tell. And the other thing that I thought was really interesting was the presence of the interviewer on screen and how you need to shape the shoot around that, potentially by leaving a gap between the question and the interviewee's answer so that you can cut the question out that the interviewer asked entirely. Also the way that the interviewee answers the question so that they're rephrasing the question within their answer, which is really important to give context. And also just the way that you frame the shot to try and erase the idea of an interviewer, potentially making the shot so that the interviewee just appears to be talking to the audience, which can also be quite powerful. So these are all things that I really need to think about before I go into my shoot, and that's why they really stood out to me. During the Turning Points exercise, I learned a lot of little tricks and things that are going to be really helpful when I go to do my interview project. So the first thing was that before the interview, to get the camera set up really quickly, to unlock all of the little hinges on the tripod and just pull it up to the correct position, really quick way to get it at the right level. And then during the interview, it's really good to ask really specific and understandable questions, because during the Turning Points exercise, we found that we weren't really getting the responses out of each other that we really wanted, because the questions that we were asking probably weren't the most specific. So I think it's really important to be really direct in the questions that you're asking. And then I also think it's really important to make sure that you know where your footage is being saved, because when we were doing the exercise, we thought that we were saving the information onto an SD card, but then when we gave the camera back, it turned out all the footage was on the camera. And if we had given the camera away, we would have lost all of our footage. So it's really important to check all of the camera settings before you start shooting and before you finish shooting. And then the other thing to make post-production easier, I think checking the white balance is really helpful because it's going to make color correcting so much easier in post-production.